You are on 95.0 Pheli FM, and this is the Capital Lunch. We are together up until the hour 3 p.m. Now, one conversation I've personally been looking forward to since we kickstarted this Capital Lunch is one we are about to have right now. Now, I told you earlier that we are speaking on the laws and rules to keep in mind if you want to own a firearm. And we are having chats with Dave Pheli, who is from the ERSC Training and Tactics. Now, this is, of course, an organization, a company that does basic competency training, they do business purposes competency, firearm training, shooting experience, and the whole life. But we are focusing mainly on the laws and regulations to have in mind if you want to own a firearm. Dave, good afternoon to you, and thank you for making time for us.
Hi. Thank you very much for the opportunity to be here.
Of course. And now, just before we get to begin, tell me a little bit about ERSC Training and Tactics.
Yeah, so we just call it TNT for short, but yes, Training and Tactics. We're located in Benoni. So Training and Tactics is the full house, right? We do everything from basic training to security guards, which is obviously business purposes. We do shooting experiences for the guys that just want to see what it's like to shoot a firearm. We do firearm sales and ammunition sales. And obviously we have a shooting club that is affiliated with us as well. So we for the everyday guy, what we call the EDC, as well as for the security industry. So myself, I am a firearm instructor and I work primarily here at Training and Tactics. I also do freelance stuff for other companies around South Africa as well. So yeah, that's pretty much what we are.
Thank you very much for that. That's really interesting. So let's get into the heart of the matter today. How does one actually go about obtaining a firearm license, and what would the criteria be that one would need to pass to qualify to own a firearm?
Okay, so in order to get a firearm, you need to do what is called proficiency training. And proficiency training is basically a closed book exam with an open book exam and a practical test. Okay? Basically understanding the laws of the Firearm Control Act, which is Act 60 of 2000, as well as being able to handle and use the firearm safely and confidently at the end of the day. So that is what we call proficiency training. The training certificate that you get will then allow you to then apply at SAPS for what is called competency. Now, your competency certificate is basically, SAPS are going to say, you've done the training, you don't have a criminal record, you are over the age of 21, you do live in a house or in a shack as well, you can apply, and therefore you are able to then own a firearm. You're competent to own a firearm. And then you would then purchase a firearm and then apply for the license for that said firearm. So every firearm has got its own license, and they would go under different sections. So you get different sections. So you can have self-defense, you can have sport shooting, you can have private collector, you can have dedicated sport shooter, you can have for business purposes. So if you're running a security company, you would license it underneath that section.
Also, it doesn't necessarily mean that me owning just one firearm license can now afford me the privilege to own a rifle, a hunting gun, a pistol, and all these kind of things. It doesn't work like that.
No, it doesn't work like that. And same with the proficiency training. You have to do a proficiency training for each type of weapon. So we have 4 categories. We have what we call the handgun, which is anything that fits in your hand, so a pistol or a revolver. We have what is called a shotgun. Now, a lot of guys get confused and they say, oh, it's a short gun, as in S-H-O-R-T, but it's not. It's shotgun, as in S-H-O-T, as in a pump gun. Yeah? Okay, so that is a shotgun, and then you get self-loading rifles, so that would be like your AKs, ARs, and then you would get your manual operated rifles, which is like your hunting rifles, stuff like that.
That's very interesting. Thank you so much for that. Now, once I've passed all the tests and I now obtain a license for my suitable firearm, how do I carry my firearm in public?
So generally, your firearm has to be on your person, secured in a holster, and completely covered. That is what the law requires us to do. So when you're seeing security guards walking around with their guns exposed, that is because they're working and they're doing it in a business environment. Okay, so they are allowed to expose their firearms. But your everyday civilian is not allowed to. He has to have his firearm concealed and covered at all times.
All right. Now, the reason why we are having this conversation, Dave, is that we saw in the news recently, that a VIP protection officer was sentenced to 15 years imprisonment, for shooting a robber that attacked him, stabbed him 3 times in particular. But this now happened after the stabbing took place and the officer went to his car to go fetch a gun. And many may see that as self-defense. Now in your expertise, in your line of work, what would you say the officer did so wrong in that instance that got him 15 years imprisonment?
Okay, so there's 2 main problems there that we see, right? So he was at the ATM withdrawing cash and somebody tried to rob him. If he had had his firearm on him at that point, the attack would be what we call imminent. So in order to use deadly force, we have to meet 3 criteria. The criteria is very simple. The attack must be against myself and a third party that is unlawful. The attack must be about to start or has already started. And the attack must be about life, not property. So the knife attack on him is immediate, it's imminent. It was against himself and it was about life, essentially, yes? So if he had had his firearm at that point and he had shot the suspect, case closed, end of story. The problem was that he left there and he went to his car when the suspect was running away, retrieved his weapon. Now that's the part that is the problem. He had the gun left in the car. So it wasn't on his person and it wasn't locked it away in a safe. So it was just laying in the car. So he went to retrieve his weapon and then he engaged the suspect. So he shot at the suspect and the suspect then went down. If he had just gone there and detained the suspect, again, he would have been fine, justified in his actions. But because he then went a little bit more, he did what is called excessive force. So excessive force is simply the suspect was down, he was no longer a threat to anybody, and then he executed him. He went a little bit too far past the point. And that's where the emotions come into play. So it is very hard for a person in that instance to say, yes, I stop now. First of all, you are angry, you've been hurt, you're feeling violated, and so the emotions is what got the better of him, and that's why he essentially got sentenced 15 years. Because he's a VIP officer, he should know how to control his emotions, number 1. Number 2 is he should have had his weapon on him, and he shouldn't have executed the guy at the end of the day.
Thank you so much for enlightening us on that one. So with that said, what would you say are the right steps to take if you are a firearm owner and you are faced with a threat in public?
So the first prize is always get away. If you can get away, get away. Don't engage, right? Remember, our firearm is our last resort. It is the absolute last thing that I can do. So if I can get away, that's my first priority. If I'm going to engage in public spaces, number 1, I must be aware of what am I doing, because I can't just spray and pray, and hope for the best. If I hit innocent people, I'm going to be held liable for those actions. So number 1 is training. Make sure you are properly trained. So get on a shooting range, join classes, join training centers, join a shooting club if you need to, and that's going to make your skill set better, right? And then second of all is that because we are responsible for every round that leaves our barrel, I always tell people that, we have to justify our actions. Therefore, we have to go to court. And when I go to court, I have to take a lawyer. And if I take a lawyer, it's going to cost me money. And so I say an average court case is going to cost you about 100,000 Rand. And how many of us have got 100,000 Rand in our pockets? Not many of us. So at the end of the day, that bullet that leaves your barrel is a 100,000 Rand bullet. So you better make sure that you know exactly what you are doing before you do it.
Would you say that the same rules apply if you are facing, a threat in your private property, midnight robbers in your house or something of that sort? 100%.
The rules still apply. So you cannot just go outside because there's a guy in your yard and shoot willy-nilly into the air to chase him away. That is a crime. You're discharging a firearm in an urban area and you don't know where those rounds are going. Again, 100,000 Rand bullet, right? So you have to be inside the house, and the attack must still be the same. It must be a threat against myself or a third party that is unlawful. The attack must be imminent, meaning about to start, and the attack must be against life, not property. So if he's stealing my bicycles outside, I can't go shoot him because there's no threat to life. He has to be in my house with a weapon that can kill me. Now, a lot of guys say, I must wait for him to stab me, or I must wait for him to shoot me. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying that the attack must be imminent and it must be a threat to life. If a man is 20 meters away from you with a knife in his hand, he's not really a threat to you, he can't hit you. But if he's running at you and he gets to 3 meters and he's still got the knife in his hand intending to kill you and you have no resort but to shoot, then you do that.
Right. No, there's quite a lot of laws to keep in mind indeed, but thank you so much for, shedding some light on this. And before we let you go, Dave, any final words or any additional information for you to impart, to us regarding the rules and regulations of owning firearms generally?
So my only real advice is to anybody that wants to own a firearm is do it correctly. There are lots of fly-by-night guys out there that tend to sell certificates, and I know it's a terrible thing to say, but it does happen, same as driver's licenses, right? And they do get caught and they do get shut down. So do it the right way, because you are only cheating yourself at the end of the day. And, an armed society is a polite society. Generally, attackers will only go for places where they know they can get away from it. They will only attack the weak. They won't attack people that they know can defend themselves. So I'm all for firearms, as long as they are done correctly. As long as you know how to use it and you understand the laws and you are properly trained, there's no bad thing that can come from it. I've never had my AK jump out of the safe and walk down the road at night by itself. It can only do it with me behind. So guns are not the problem. It's people that are the problem at the end of the day. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much once again, and do you have yourself a lovely day.
I will do. Thank you very much. Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it, guys.
All right. And this is Dave from ERSC Trading, the QQ professional, shedding some light on 95.
Right, guys, you heard it there live on TikTok. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. That was our interview on Pheli FM. Guys, if you want to get in contact with us, contact us. Telephone numbers in the profile page. You can find us all over social media. I'm going to call it a day, but thank you very much for joining in for our live chat on radio. As always, guys,